Hi, my name's Leonie Bolt, and I went from high school troublemaker and long-time backpacker to accidental entrepreneur. After 15 years working as a professional photographer and running my own studio, I grew into becoming a personal empowerment and business mentor to help other women to follow their passions and find their purpose too. I've learned to pave my own way through life, and now I empower others to do the same, to break through their limiting beliefs and empower them to shine. Welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast, where we dive deep into creating a life by your own design. Welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast. Our guest today is Tracy Horton. Tracy's been in business for herself for at least 30 years. And she's learnt a lot along the way. She's going to share a little bit about that with us today. So, Tracy, do you just want to introduce yourself and tell everybody what it is that you do?
Oh, thanks, Leonie. I'd love to. Hey, everybody. My name is Tracy Horton. I grew up in a very, very broken home. And so I did life like everybody else did, only to discover I had lots and lots of flaws. So about 30 years ago, I did the safe route. I started a bookkeeping business, which has been highly successful. But several years ago now, when I turned 50, I got the guts to go and do what I should have done all along, which was actually own everything that had been going on in my life. So I started a new business called TracyHorton.com, where we deal with, I guess I love to call it self-leadership, Leonie, because I truly believe everyone is their own source. And you have exactly the life you want today, and you can have it any way different you want by tomorrow. So that's kind of the whole thing that we've done. And the reason I'm really excited to be on your show today is because, as you can tell, I'm a lot older than some of maybe your guests. So I've kind of hit this real legacy track in my business now. And so in the next sort of 10 years, I'm looking to build a real legacy around just leaving all my wealth of knowledge and everything I've learned just on the planet for all the people coming up. And because something amazing happened to my business during COVID, I ended up with a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of new clients that were all under 25.
Wow, awesome. And yeah, it's really exciting to see the next generation jumping into this entrepreneurial journey because, like you said, some of us take a long time to get the guts and the courage to design our own lifestyle. And I see a lot of women in their 50s going, you know what? Why have I never done this? Why have I never, stepped out of my comfort zone and done what I want to do instead of what's expected of me or what I think is expected of me and taken the safe route? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. And I love being able to support other women to step into that journey, whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's just, not taking the safe route. Yeah. I think it's really important to support each other, to know that everything out there is available to us. Yep. And all we need to do is tap into that inner courage.
Absolutely. Like never before, everything's available. When I was, because I was abused by 12 men before I was 12. So my dad is a schizophrenic with 5 dissociative personalities. My mum's a drunk because of my dad. So, the story didn't start great. And I always say to people, I had a tragic start, but I have a brilliant life. I think more than ever now, so many of us have stepped in and, women my age, we laid the groundwork for this. We went and we wrote the books and we did all the stuff. So now people are talking about it, just on the news this morning, there's a woman, who has passed away that is calling her abuser to account. I love that we've grown like that. So like never before now, women and men can do anything they want. We really are so empowered with all these podcasts, books, education. It's fantastic. I love it.
Absolutely. Just in our lifetime, we've seen technology give us those opportunities, now that we can jump on Zoom and we can talk to anybody anywhere in the world and do business and stay in touch. When we were kids at school, there was no such thing as internet. So we're so lucky to live in this age and have everything available to us. Aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. I was a 30-year-old mum with 4 children under 5, and I didn't have a cell phone. and none of my friends had cell phones.
Yeah.
My husband had just bought one because he's had a project management business for 30 years, so it was kind of needed. It was that big old heavy brick thing. But when he brought it home, wouldn't have entered my mind to touch it, wouldn't have entered my mind to call him during the day. Like, it's a very different world now. It is. I mean, I've got grandchildren now at 14 and 10 that have cell phones, so it's very different.
Yeah, I know my daughter, who's 9, has just come home with a, Surface Pro laptop for school, and I'm just, my mind is blown.
Yeah, for sure. Last night, a couple of my grandkids stayed over, and I think we had 14 devices on charge all over the house with, laptops, iPads, phones, and it was like, wow, my grandparents would not believe this if they saw it.
Yeah, and we're the same, and we love to go camping, and you've got to try and charge all these devices, but I think it's really important to also find that balance and disconnect occasionally, because it can be really toxic, can't it?
Oh, for sure. It's fake. That's what I tell my grandkids, because they're just buying into this. And I'm saying, guys, so much of it is fake. So, we have a rule in our house that, we eat without devices because we're capable humans. So there's never any device at that time. Leonie, I'm really old-fashioned, but I've proven this to be true because, for me, I never had a childhood. I never had the stuff that you grew up with. I never had those memories. So I went foraging for them. I went looking to see what it is that people do that make that. And one of the things I found with successful families or successful relationships, I do this in business as well, is there has to be a set time every day where you really interact heart to heart, energy to energy. So for families, most of it's around dinner. But I have an office meeting every day in my business, and everyone who works for me is present, and we communicate so that nobody misses the little stuff or the stuff that's falling through the cracks, or people can fall down as quick as anything now, and we can hide behind this stuff. Everything that's good for us can have a negative, as you would know.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really important to be present. And I think more than anything, that's what COVID taught us, is to pay attention to the small things, and, connect with people that you may not have had time to previously, and just check in on them, because it's really important that we do be present, whether it's in our family life or with our clients or whatever that looks like, because we can't be good at anything if we're, all over the place.
Oh, for sure. And for us as a family, we went through some real tragedy during COVID. One of my daughters, who was told she wouldn't have a child, got pregnant. We got very excited, and then she lost it before she delivered it. And my youngest daughter discovered she has cervical cancer, which she's still fighting to this day. She's about to have some major surgery, because it's in her lymph nodes. So for us, the beautiful part about COVID was all of a sudden everybody was home, because, we run big businesses, and Paul's business, project management, it never actually stopped. And the bookkeeping business, kind of everything else I just put on the slow, and, all my daughters weren't going off to work. Their kids weren't going off to school. And we just had this really beautiful time of just sitting with the news and just working out how we're going to help. In Australia, our public system is brilliant, but it's overworked. So we've had to go privately, which has cost a lot of money. Leonie, I really feel for people that just don't understand how to do business, how to create wealth, because we are headed into a time where you do actually need to have it. It's cost me probably $15,000 to have 2-3 operations for this daughter of mine. And, she's got serious cancer, stage 3, stage 4, you're terminal. And the wait list is 5 months.
Yeah.
So, that shows you how overworked it is, because I tell you, there's not a doctor or nurse alive that wants somebody to die. So, they're that overworked. So for us, it was a really beautiful time, because we all just got to stop and just breathe in and help each other grieve. And my daughter went through a lot of grief around losing her child, and it was just a real time. And it did actually remind me that we just all work way too hard, too fast. And I guess that's why I work in now putting all of the stuff online. I do a lot of work globally. I've traveled a lot in the last 4 years, but I'm not planning on doing that again now in a hurry. I'm hanging around in Australia, and I want Australian women to be really empowered to just know that there's a rhythm to life, and you just got to feel into it. And when you understand the rhythm, you understand that you can't ever miss out. Everything that belongs to Leonie Bolt is coming to her. I promise you that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a big lesson for me in the past 12 months, is stepping out of my masculine and starting to listen to my intuition, because we can fall, especially, we can fall into that fear of, what's going to happen next, or, everything's going to fall apart that I've worked so hard to manage. But when you trust in your intuition and the universe, and you just show up from a place of service, things will still keep happening for you.
For sure. I have an autistic grandson, and every now and then he gets quite anxious, and it's his mum that's got the cancer. So that's a big issue when you're black and white, because there's no understanding. So I take him for walks. We live in a beautiful part in the Gold Coast, and we've got some nice parks around here. And I take him for a walk, and I just say to him, stop, Dom, stop for a minute and just tell me, are any of the trees worried? Is the brook worried? Is any of the flowers seem anxious? Because if nature, if creation, if our planet is still okay, then we're going to be okay. And I was doing that the other day, and I thought, you know what, I need to do that with some of my clients. Because, we forget so quickly that the universe has never got afraid once. Our planet didn't get afraid of COVID. There's some course correction, because as humans, we overwork and we overdo everything out of fear of missing out or not getting enough. But that needs to course correct, because we've gone into ego, and we have to stay out of that. Your truth and your passion and your strength all comes from understanding that you have a heart, you have a life, you have an energetic source, you have something that you're meant to do in life. And when you just flow into that, we stop comparing, then it works beautifully for us.
Absolutely. Getting grounded and reconnecting with the earth is a really important part of understanding that we are all one, and we are all energy. And, it's how we look after each other and how we look after our planet that's going to move the needle forward.
For sure.
Yeah. So tell me, Tracy, how do you support the women in your life to take that big step into whatever it is that they're feeling a bit anxious about taking that leap of faith in themselves?
My big question is always this that I start with, because I see women from all sorts of range of life. And because I do self-leadership and how to have your best life. So people come at all ages and designs. But I always ask them this, when they talk to me about what it is that they want to do, I always get them to draw a picture of how it would look if they didn't do it. Because once people understand that if you don't do what you were created to do, the pain and the pressure that goes with that far outweighs the actual courage it takes to start. It really does, every single time. And for me, I learned that by dealing with abuse. Because when I woke up one day, Leonie, and I realized that I was self-medicating with alcohol, I was harming myself and harming everybody else in my world. And yet the 12 men, including my father, that had taken my childhood, not one of them had lost sleep. Not one of them was self-medicating. Not one of them was giving my name a thought. And that day, the day I realized that and said, you know what? I will never be someone else's plotline ever again. I'm going to pick up the pen and write my own damn story however I want it. When I found that courage, sure, there was pain involved. I'm not undermining that. But it was so much less than the pain I would have lived with.
Yes.
Had I been still now trying to deal with that, I wouldn't have the husband, I wouldn't have the family, wouldn't have the businesses, wouldn't have the wealth, wouldn't have any of it. And I think for people, we get frightened because we think it's all about us. But one of the things I love to teach people is that when you get into the rhythm of your own life, it will flow. It will flow. And I like to teach them some of the real simplistic stuff to business. For instance, when you go into business, when you first start it, you're always really heart-centered, because that's the only way you can deal with fear, is to get into your heart. So what happens for people in business is they go into business and attract the people that need them, but not the people that can afford them. So within 6 to 12 months, they're doing this beautiful business. They're exhausted in it. They're feeling like they're accomplishing it, but they're broke. So I love to say to people, you have to understand that's going to come, but you have to only allow a certain amount of time, and then you have to start marketing yourself, and you have to start getting out there and doing some simple energy sort of work, and realizing that the people that need you, that can afford you, can also have to come, because you have to make money. Right now, that's how we barter. If that changes, then that changes, but for now, you've got to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. And conserving your own energy so that you can be there for your clients and your family. That is definitely the most important, because you can work yourself into the ground and find that you're getting nowhere and just completely burn out, and then you're no good to anybody.
No. And I think burnout comes from lack of discipline, because we want to serve the world and we want to do it. And there's this real concept, Leonie, and one of the things I dislike about Facebook, not much because I love it, is that people look like they're really, really busy all the time. And I'm like, stop. So I work from home at the moment by choice, because I have 2 daughters that need me. But I have a designated office, and when that door shuts, that job's finished. I dress up and walk in here. I pick up my handbag and walk out. I don't work Saturdays and Sundays. Look, to be honest, that's a bit flexible now because of all the global stuff going on for me. America, London, Germany, their time frames are so different. I do work a little bit outside of the 9 to 5. But I always say to people, if you're working from home, get a designated office, make a designated time. Being available 24 hours a day is unrealistic. And it actually shows people that you are 2 things. You are broke and desperate. And you don't want to end up burnt out. So I'm available 9 to 6. If you want me other than that, you are going to have to book an appointment, get online, go through the boss, and that's how you have to do it. And you can't feel guilty about it, because if you do not replenish, you will not do the hard yards. Too many businesses fault at 2 years.
And setting your boundaries and making that clear to your clients, and even to your family. If you're saying going to your designated office, doors closed, this is my work time. Setting those boundaries is really important, because otherwise people do think that you're available 24/7, and it turns into a terrible machine of over and over and over again. Whereas even if you get messages at night, and you can have an automated response or something that says, I'll get back to you in business hours. That just sets the standard, so that people go, oh, well, I guess they have a work day just like I have a work day, and they're entitled to have their evenings and their weekends off just like I do.
That's right. And I think, for me, I'm in a creative business. So, I'm writing courses and stuff. I can never be creative if I've never turned off. If you don't, there's stuff each of us need to do. Some, for some business women, they're also painters, or they're also, they create in other ways, or they love to do sports or something. Sometimes running for a good 20 minutes is a hard job if you're wired that way. I'm not. You can get your whole next year's plan downloaded. If that's the thing, is that if you don't ever shut off, you're going to run out of steam. You're going to run out of understanding where to go and how to do it, which is a shame, because we're here for the longevity. We're needed now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've only got one body to get you all the way to the end, so you've got to take care of it.
You do. And it ages quicker than you realise, trust me.
Yeah, all of a sudden you go, what just happened? Where'd that last decade go? I definitely see that a lot with my boudoir clients in particular. They'll pop in their 50s and just go, why did I never think to do this for myself? Why did I never fill my own cup before I looked after everybody else? And it's really important to be able to do that and not feel guilty about it, so that you can be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. And it's something women need to teach women, because we are designed as carriers. Like, we are created with the ability to carry a human. Men cannot do it. There's not a species on the earth that can do it masculinely. So feminine energy for us is all about carrying. And I think many, many beautiful heart-centered women carry that into their business, and they all of a sudden become just super pregnant, for want of a better word, and they can't deliver because they're so burnt out and overworked. So I think, women have to teach women that we have to bring a bit of masculine design into our businesses by just allowing the fact that we work certain hours, we are creative, and we have to have time off, and you have to look after yourself. Because, Leonie, I'm telling you now, the way the world is going, you're gonna hit 60 before you know it. You're gonna, and we have to, as you know now, we put more effort into what we eat, what we drink, because the world is no longer trustworthy. Our soil isn't trustworthy. Going through cancer, I've learned that, so many of our foods are toxic, and, we now go to completely different places to get food. And, we've got, our own meat on a friend's farm that we're doing, especially because, most of the stuff we purchase in Woolies is grain-fed, and that grain is not good for human consumption. So, when you've got to factor all that in too now, sorry, I just got on my soapbox. But, when you've got to factor all that in as a woman, who's running a family, who's caring.
Yes.
And Leonie, a lot of these women are doing it on their own too. And I admire every one of them because, my hubby is a big part of my business, big part of my life. We have raised 4 beautiful girls, and we're out helping with 9 grandkids, but it's a 2-man job, I'm telling you now. So, when they're doing it, they have to look after themselves. They do.
Absolutely. And you're totally right. The energy that we get comes from the food that we eat. So you want to make sure it's got the highest amount of good stuff in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise it's just wasted time and energy.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And, stress is the number one killer. It's the number one thing that will make you all sick. So, you have to learn how to deal with that. And you can't deal with that if you're forever on the wheel.
Yes.
I have a stress checkup that I do with myself because I know myself pretty well. And the minute I see those signs, I book a weekend away for Paul and I because, I'm Polynesian by descent. And so we have a real open door policy at our house. Kids come and go. They eat with us when they want to and stuff. So when I notice some of those stress indicators, that weekend's booked and we're gone Friday and we're back Monday. And because that's what works for me. If I don't get away, I don't stop with other things, in my life. And so sometimes I just need to stop, sit on the beach, write the next book, plan the next year, that stuff.
Absolutely. I'm the same. And I've we bought a little caravan, and, cool. At least once a month we'll go away for the weekend, and hopefully it's devices down. It doesn't always happen, but it's so good to just get your journal out, get a book out, and have that time and that space to reinvigorate yourself, isn't it?
There's lots of campgrounds that don't have cell coverage. You'll find them.
But you've got to have a good team to support you to be able to pick up the pieces, right?
That's right. For sure.
So Tracy, you've got a course coming out. Is it coming out, or have you launched it already?
Leonie, I was going to launch it in January, but my daughter got bad news. So I'm a big believer in rhythm. I'm a big believer in nothing is by accident, all's by design. So I made a conscious choice to put that back to April. Not because it's not ready, but because I wasn't ready. And she's having surgery next Monday, where she's going to have a fair amount removed from her body. She's going to need some recouping time, and I don't do anything by halves. I love to give my all. And this course is very passionate for me. It's called The Whispers of Life, and it's the 7 keys to living our life and the things that we should be listening to ourselves. So our worth, our understanding of life, our giftings that we can't explain away, that we can't teach, we just have them. Some people can just run, some people can just talk, some people can just paint, and where they come from and how to make them part of your dance, how to make them part of your DNA, so you don't ignore them, you let them shine. So it will be coming out in April. And we're bringing out the masculine version as well, the female whisperer and the male whisperer, because
Excellent.
I'm really starting to see a lot of incredibly woke women who are nailing all this stuff, and hubby's still going to a 9 to 5 and still taking the kids to rugby, and he doesn't understand. So I said to my husband, it's time for you to come in, and it's time for you to write this for your mates. And so the course has got the same concepts, but written for men, so that couples can kind of do it together. They can do it whenever they like. I'm a big believer when you provide resource, it should be really simple. It should be honest. It should be simple. It should be something people can apply right there and then. And so I'm really excited about it. I'm going to release 7 of them. Straight after that, I'm going to do one on blended families. But it's just going to take a bit longer now because I'm really committed to my daughter and helping her heal. Absolutely. And she has 2 autistic children, so that requires that mum and dad just be present from time to time. It's how it is, yeah.
Yeah, but that's really powerful, and I love that you're doing it for the men as well, and also giving couples the opportunity to be able to do that work together. I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, it is. It is really
excellent.
Important.
So where can people find you if they want to find out more about you and what you do and this course that you've got coming out?
Okay. Well, I have a website, which is www.tracyhorton.com. But these days, I always say to people, if you really want to know who I am, look on Facebook or Instagram. On Facebook, I have a page called Tracy Horton, author, speaker, and I'm not sure what the rest of it is. It's got a big, long title.
all of those taglines that you've got.
You can find me. And I always say to people, nowadays, because we don't travel as much and we're not meeting up as much, I always say to people, if you think you want to work with someone, if you think you like the idea of their course or something, get online and have a look. I'm on there at least once a week doing a live. Have a look at some of the lives, see if you like the stuff, see if you think hey, this woman's resonating a little bit with me. I say that about everybody because I think most women or men that are doing this sort of business, they need to be fronting up live at the moment because otherwise people forget. But have a look at the Facebook lives, jump on the website. I'm also a really big believer in this, Leonie, and that is giving away things for free.
Yeah.
I believe that we have to be philanthropic in part of our lives. So I always say to people, if you like the lives, get on the website. I offer 30 minutes with me for free. And I promise them 2 things. I promise them that I will not sell to them because, we all know, jump on the 30-minute discovery call. That is rubbish talk, girls. Stop it. Because all you're doing is upselling to them and they know it and they get on defensive. So my 30-minute phone call, there's no selling at all because if you want this stuff, you're going to go looking for it. But what I do promise is I'll solve one of your problems. Just give me one problem and I'll give you the answer. So that's, I always say to people, start with that, see if you like it because, the courses are going to come out at around $2.99 and they'll be available for life. There'll be 7 things. But, for some people, that's still a lot of money, and I never take for granted the fact that it's not for me. I always think, for some people, that's still a big commitment. And there'll be a lesser price if the hubby and wife want to buy it together, of course. So I always say to them, make sure you know what you want. I think gone are the days where people shelled out $5,000 for a coach. And I have got clients paying that, but they know me and they've done other stuff with me and that, and so they know by that stage we're going into that avenue and they're going to get that for it. And, they've got social, all sorts of other stuff from the office is all coming into that package for them. So I just say, get to know, listen to all this stuff and get to really feel people and then go after it. Use your money wisely, but do it. You need to be with a coach, you need to be mentoring, has to be done now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to know that you're going to get what you want to get out of it, and you need to know that energetically you're going to be able to connect really well with that person so that you get the results that you're paying them for.
Absolutely, because if you don't believe in someone or feel them, you're not going to hear them. And you have to, when you're doing a course, there's a video, Paul and I are doing roughly doing videos now, and we're in and out of all sorts of booking sessions and stuff. But if you don't believe in me, if you don't think, hang on, this woman's the real deal, This woman actually understands how to find your worth when no one gives it to you. Then you're gonna half take it. And my goal is not just to sell another $299 product, because Leonie, to be honest with you, I don't have to and I don't want to. But what I want to do is I want to turn around, and not too long now for me, I'll be 70. 60 is way close now. And so, in a few years, maybe 12, 13 years, I'm going to, at 70, I want to turn around and see there was 100,000 people that took that course, and look how they changed.
Yes.
Look at what they did.
Exciting piece?
Yeah.
When you see that transformation and the results, and you go, I had something to do with that.
I know. Look at them. Look at the difference. Look at that ripple effect. That's what I'm after. So that's why I'm saying to people, make sure you know who you are working for and that they're the real deal for whatever it is you're after.
Absolutely. And if you get those results and you get that ripple effect, it goes, it has that ripple effect into your families and everybody that's surrounding you as well.
Yep.
So you're not just doing the work for yourself, you're doing it for everybody you know.
Yeah. If one person can change, the whole world can change.
Yes.
It's always been that way.
Perfect. I think that's a perfect note to finish up on. Thank you so much, Tracy, for joining us today.
Leonie. My
and
pleasure.
if you want to get in, excellent. If you want to get in touch with Tracy, her details will be in the show notes. Jump on there, have a look. She'll be releasing that information as soon as it's available, and it sounds like it's going to be super, super powerful. So thank you so much, Tracy.
My pleasure. Lovely to see you. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leonie Bolt, and I'm glad that you were able to join us today. I hope you got some serious inspiration from today's episode. If you'd like to find more episodes, go to leoniebolt.com/podcasts or start subscribing on your favorite podcast streaming channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon.